Verbum Magia Part 2, Story Index, Author's Note. All things that would be in Latin will be bolded, as I am lazy, and it is a pain to translate, even if poorly done. I couldn't believe it, she'd actually left. I stared at the door that she'd shut behind her, for a few loud heartbeats, then looked around the room frantically. There was the chair I'd been sitting in, a small desk with papers on it, and another staircase going up, and then the door I'd come in, and that the elvish woman had left through. Great, just great. I glanced out the window, and confirmed what I already knew. I was too high up to jump without hurting myself. Stepping back, I looked at the door again. I had no idea how long my magic would last, or if it had done anything other than actually make her leave. What if she was standing outside the door right now, trying to work out how to come back in? On the desk were a couple of notes, with only one that caught my attention, as it was written in Latin. I shook my head in disbelief that the magic here was powered by a dead language I'd wasted several years learning too. The note read, "Assessment of arrival due by 327.33.14. New arrivals soon. Workers low in onyx mines and fishing farms." I rolled my eyes, knowing that I likely would have been sent to the mines to work, knowing my luck. But the new arrivals part bothered me. Were they bringing us humans to this world? The elf had tried to make me forget my previous life, and the other humans that I knew were from Earth never would speak of it. My stomach dropped, and I wondered for a moment if it would have been better to actually die when the truck hit me. My attention was ripped away from the note as I heard footsteps outside the door. With no other options, I headed up the strange floating stairs. I found myself in a small study, and the clear top of the tree building, as there was no roof, only open branches above me. I could see a bird's nest and even a small squirrel-like animal. The walls of the study held hundreds of books, most of which were in Latin from the titles written in gold on their spines. There was nowhere else for me to go, and I doubted I had much time left before someone came chasing after me. I didn't think they'd kill me. I'd seen all kinds of poor behavior in the bunks punished with nothing more than a severe beating. But then again, I hadn't seen anyone other than the elves use magic, and even then, they held out with physical means before turning to the arcane. As I read the titles, my translation skills stretched for the first time since I graduated with that degree. I found myself reaching for more than one book. There were whole novels written on how they'd grown the tree buildings, and how they'd carved the strange stone buildings. I realized then that this study must have a prestigious owner if they had a collection of books like that here. A shorter title caught my attention, Fire. I found myself reading the title aloud, and as I did so, flames burst forth into existence before me. They were hot. I stepped back quickly, but the flames were starved for kindling, having come to life from nothing. Before I could even register that I'd summoned flames, the whole study was ablaze. I turned towards the stairs, only to find myself face to face with an angry orc and the elvish woman. Her face paled as she saw the study, but she did not run away. "Extinguish your flame," she said, her voice quiet and steady. Her eyes burned me nearly as hot as the flame, and I considered jumping out the window to flee. "Speak not a word, move not a muscle," she said sharply as I opened my mouth to tell her to leave again. The words died in my throat, and my muscles down to my eyelids ceased all movement. Terrified, I watched out of the corner of my unmoving eyes as the orc approached me. I was going to be beat badly. I could tell from the way he was cocking his fist. At the same time, however, I couldn't help but be fascinated by the way the elvish woman cast her magic. It seemed like everything she did needed to be clear and long thought out. Perhaps that's why just saying fire had caused such a blaze. I hadn't tempered it at all. A cold tingle ran down my spine, wondering idly what would have happened had she just said stop. Would the magic have killed me instantly, my heart stopping if she'd said it? How complicated was the magic if you had to control it verbally? Intent be damned. So caught up in thought, I'd nearly forgotten about the orc. Had forgotten about him until his fist connected with my jaw. For a moment I saw stars, and then, not unlike my death, I saw blackness.